Hello there, I'm Rick and this is Pro Gamer Parent. Today I want to talk to you about game windows, and they're extremely important. What do I mean with game windows? I mean the period of time that makes it different. That really you have a time slot to make an impact, to affect a decision, to build something that really makes a big difference compared to doing things later. One real life example, we will talk about computer games soon, but a real life example is applying for a job. You have a date that a job goes online, for example, that has a description. It usually have an end date. After that end date, you shouldn't bother, or actually you should bother, but the bots might not pick up your application after that end date. So that's a very visible game window. You have a beginning date and you have an end date. So do try to apply for that job within this game window. That's it, right? That's never ever the whole story. That's the mindset I want to teach in this video. There's always an infinite number of game windows affecting every game window. Going back to job applications, what we don't think about is studies show that 65% of the jobs or the position never even make it to an ad. A position is needed and filled by someone knowing someone before you even reach the ad state. That means you have this game window, but really you have this game window. I mean, if you're not aware of it, if you're not building your position and doing work that really attract this kind of people, you're missing the big part of the game window. You're just thinking life should be fair, everyone should go through the same funnel, but life isn't like that. That's just one way of showing how we have to embrace what is. We have to embrace that game windows really matter. And once again, if we think about, we make life easy for us, we think about the start and the end span. If this is the game window and I don't have a resume, I'm making the game window like this because it takes me a while to make the resume. So be proactive about your game windows. How can you help your child and yourself be ready for the change you want to make in the world? Be ready for the opportunity. There's a great quote called, luck is the residue of design. How can you weave that design in? And if we're talking once again about leveling up in computer games, it's the same thing there. If we're not ready to take a leap, if there's a tournament going on in a game we haven't played, if there's a local event going on where we can get to know other people who's really into what we're into, that your kid can learn from, how not just be aware of it, once again going back to the resume thing, perhaps monitor and perhaps set up an alert in the search engine. How can you become ready of when something happens in your local town that's noteworthy? And once again, don't trust your kid to do this. They perhaps should, but you can help. Setting up an alert is extremely easy. But the most important part of that game window isn't applying or paying the ticket. The most important part is doing the work. So when they show up there, they will be noteworthy. If that is building something on this platform, YouTube, if that is making a paper in their school about how to keep up with the demands as being a team leader of a raid or something, doesn't matter, but help them build something that they can talk about with enthusiasm. Once again, it shouldn't be your work, it should be something they want to work with. But so they're ready, so when it happens, they have something fresh. And once again, fresh is important because once again, you don't want them, just like a resume, you don't want them to sell their 2 years old self. You want them to sell their current self, and hopefully even a tad bit into the future self. So how can you embrace more game windows around this? And how can you embrace a bigger scope to make that game window? And just like going back to really talking about the game, whatever game they're playing has game windows too. First of all, all games inflate. I think that's one of the benefits of old school sports. They've been around for a very long time. They don't change as much. Esport and computer games, they change. They can come overnight and they can vanish in a couple of years. So let them know whatever they're playing right now is inside a game window that will close. What asset are they building that will last when no one cares about that title? Just like, I don't know if you've been playing computer games, but I grew up with a Commodore 64 and Amiga and stuff like that. Wonderful games. I love the love that went into building those. But being the best of one of those games doesn't serve us anymore. And well, I'm talking about things 20 years ago, but the time span is extremely quick right now. Help them see that whatever profits they have will not last when they go into no. Other game windows is, if you think about the game span of a game like this, you have patch notes. It could be that a patch note has usually a very quick game window that can radically transform a tool your kid is using, making it extremely uber, and it will be nerfed. Once again, nerfed means it will be diminished, and that's a game window, and use it before it's nerfed. Also called tweaking, and perhaps not the best way to level up skills, but there's other things that you perhaps you want to reap in the game. But also going back to show notes, if you're a YouTuber or the streamer or something like that, being aware that a new game has a short game window where it's new, where you're first, being the first to post thoughts on a patch note. We're living in an exponential world right now that the first to post things on, say, patch notes gets 95% of the clicks. So help your child see that if they're into doing that part of gaming. Another game window is seeing that you might love games. I'm not really good playing games. I wouldn't be able to play competitive because I don't have the skill set. But there's other ways to serve the people you want to serve. There's other ways to live with gamers, to become a member of this gaming community. YouTube is one way, streaming is another, hanging out, playing games, overlapping computer games with board games. There's so many ways you can interact and be a gamer, and not being the best of the best, but knowing that there is a game window of being best of the best means a lot. Once again, if we talk about playing football or soccer or whatever physical sport, there is a game window in age. Eventually you get too old to do that, and you have to plan ahead, because when that happens you might have nothing. And it's exactly the same thing in computer games too. Might be good to help them see that having some sort of career is really, really good. And you don't have to give up the long dream. You just know that you have something to balance on, to lean on. I'll link a great resource to Acumen, talking about jobs and vocation and career and stuff like that. That's really about the game window, that you might have a game window when you go all into games, but you probably will have a job throughout your life too. And that job could be speaking about your gigs, could be speaking about how you won this, or speaking about the lessons you've learned to help teach other things. But there will be game windows after game windows. Some games running in parallel, some game windows really build up the next game window. So do use the word game window, and don't let anyone else tells you what is a game window. Once again, with the application, just because this is what's visible, there's always, you can always, buying a flat, for example, on the real estate thing, you can buy it before it's on the market. It's same thing. You could get a beta if you once again build up a fan base. You can get a beta so you can start playing the game before it's released. Though, if you think it's going to go into esport, you will have thousands of hours head start towards the other people who don't have. So you can always figure out a way to start before the visible game window, but the most important thing with game windows is the game will shut. The doors will close. Use the time while it's effective. Don't think that you can wait on a lot of things just because the game's always going to be there. Yeah, but the circumstances around it might not. And also you're competing to the alternative cost of people who start right now. So don't wait. Embrace the game windows. Embrace that you have so many ways to go about it in real life, just like in the games. Thanks for stopping by. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.